Hey everybody, I just wanted to share a favourite recipe of mine. I shouldn't actually say mine, it's actually my mum's. She used to make this for me and my brothers and sisters when we were kids, and it's a Weet-Bix chocolate slice, and my family love it also. So I thought I'd spoil them today and actually make it for them. And I thought while I'm doing it, I might as well show you guys so you'll be able to make it at home for your family. Now with this recipe, pretty much the ingredients are things that you will have in your pantry and in your refrigerator. They're not weird ingredients, so it's kind of like you can just, let's make chocolate slice and you'll have everything. So let's get started. It's nice and it's simple and it's easy. So we're going to start off with our Weet-Bix. Now obviously I store mine in a modular. The big square 4, I find that the big packet of Weet-Bix fits perfectly into here if you kind of stack them up all on top of each other. Keeps them nice and fresh for a really long time. Now whenever you're taking the seals off your modulars, always there's a little tab on one corner. Release that and then just lightly release each other corner before you actually take the top off. That way you're going to have this seal like this in 50 years time. Okay, now we're going to actually use the XtraChef today. I know when I used to make this at home with mum, we didn't have an XtraChef, so we used to have to crunch the Weet-Bix up by hand. So this is so much quicker and easier. Now it is 1 cup of crushed Weet-Bix. I think I worked out from making this a few times, it's about 6 Weet-Bix crushed up that will equal your 1 cup. So we'll see if I've got it right. If not, we can always quickly just crunch up a few extra Weet-Bix. So all I've done is pop it into the XtraChef. Now some of you probably already got this in your kitchen. This is the best chopping machine you'll ever get. From pumpkin, potatoes, you can do carrots, you can do zucchinis, to your garlic, your herbs. It's the best cocktail machine, the best dip maker, pancake mixtures, cake mixtures. Like this thing here is like a little magic machine in your kitchen. There's a baby version as well, which a lot of people actually get when they get started in Tupperware, and our consultants can actually qualify and get this along the way as well. So that's a great way to add Tupperware to your kitchen. Come and join me in Tupperware. Hence the reason I've got lots of Tupperware. Now we're just going to give it a couple of pulls. Now you can actually feel it, like I can tell that it's crunching them up nice and fine. We don't want to go too fine, hey, otherwise we will have no crunch to our chocolate slice. Now guys, check this out. Hopefully this is impressive. Look at that. That's your 6 Weet-Bix crushed up in about 10 seconds. Now I reckon that's about a cup, hey. Do I need to measure it? Maybe I should, only because there's liquid in this ingredient and we want to make sure that we don't have it too dry. See how we go. I reckon I was pretty close. Look at that, guys. That's 1 cup of crushed Weet-Bix. I reckon you could get away with 5 instead of 6 into your XtraChef. So let's do 1 cup of our Weet-Bix into there. Now it's a very easy recipe to remember because it's pretty much 1 cup of everything. So now we're going to put, and they're all dry ingredients, so you can just use the 1 measuring cup. Now we're going to do 1 cup of coconut. Now one of the things I love, do you know the measuring cups actually fit in your modulars? I'll just get all my coconut here. I think we've nearly got a cup. Guys, I'm not the best cook, so if I can do this, anybody can. Okay, so we've got 1 cup of coconut. Now we're going to do 1 cup of SR flour, or self-raising flour. It was easy for me just to take all this out of the pantry. You can't even see this, can you? Do I need to show you? There's all my modulars sitting there, and that's what I'm taking all the ingredients out of. Okay, now before I actually take the top off this, some of you would have seen me tell you this trick before, but when you got self-raising flour, the raising agent actually sinks to the bottom. So if you just scoop out of the top, you're not going to get any of the raising agent in it. So you need to flip it up a couple of times, put the raising agent back through the flour so that when you actually do make your cakes and muffins and slices and everything, you've actually got it all mixed nicely through. Imagine trying to do that with a normal packet of flour. You probably have all over the kitchen and you may be white. Okay, let's just put 1 cup, little tiny bit more. Okay, we've got 1 cup of flour. Okay, so that's just 1 cup of crushed wheat bix, 1 cup of coconut, and 1 cup of SR flour. Now we're just going to put some sugar in there. Now I use raw sugar in our family. We don't actually buy white sugar, so I'm just putting raw sugar in there today. But obviously you can just put your normal sugar. So just making sure I take my seal off correctly. Now we need 3/4 of a cup. Sorry guys, I'm starting to go blind. I should be wearing glasses. Okay, 3/4 of a cup of sugar. Now I don't know if you can see this, I've actually got my little scoop that permanently stays in our sugar container, and that's because this is our big storage one and we have like the little sugar pot, so the kids are always filling it up all the time. So we leave the scoop sitting in there. Okay, so we've got 3/4 of a cup of sugar. Now you probably noticed I've got measuring cups here that are a different colour. The measuring cups that you get are actually the nice blue colour in our current catalogue. I've just got a bit of a collection of measuring cups over the years. I do always tell everybody you've got to buy them quite regularly because someone can tell your age by the colour of your measuring cup. So if you have a little bit of a collection of different colours, they won't know how old you are. Something I love about the measuring cups is if you've got a few sets of them, you can actually leave them sitting in your modulars so that if you are doing recipes like this and you've got your recipes that you do all the time, you can have like a cup measurement sitting in your flour so it's always there. I know when my kids were little, not so much now, but when they used to make porridge, I used to have my porridge in one of the oval containers. And so I used to put the rolled oats in there, and then I used to put the 2 measuring cups that they needed in there. So they knew the big one was how much milk they needed, and they knew the smaller one was how much oats they needed, and they just put it in the microwave jug and then just pop it into the microwave. So it just makes it easier. Like when the kids are little, if you can train them like that, then you don't have to get out of bed if they're going to get out earlier than you as well. Okay, so let's make sure we've got wheat bix, SR flour, coconut sugar. Now we just need 1 dessert spoon of cocoa. I'm just making sure I actually took it out. So with our cocoa powder, I've just grabbed our measuring spoons here. This is something that we don't actually have in our catalogue right now, but guys, these are something that will randomly come out in Tupperware. So just make sure that if you're a customer of mine, that you're on my customer update page, or the consultant who's asked you to come and watch this for a bit of informative purposes, just join their page, because whenever anything is actually released, it means you get to see it first. Before it actually goes to everybody else. And sometimes when things come out and they're a really crazy price, they sell out really quickly. Okay, so let's just do a tablespoon of cocoa. You'll see I actually put my cocoa powder in just one of the little oval ones. So if you buy the box of cocoa powder from the shop and pop it into here, it lasts so long opposed to storing in boxes. Do you know when you go to the supermarket and you buy like your packets and your boxes and things like that, a lot of the time, if anyone's ever had weevils or moss in their pantry before, it's actually in the packaging, it's not actually in the food. And I know I used to do this. I didn't have labels on my pantry containers, so I used to put my product into the modulars and then I'd cut out like the custard powder in cardboard, and then I'd sit that inside so I knew it was custard powder. And that was probably the worst thing that I could have done, because it's actually in the glues and in the cardboard that a lot of the bugs actually happen for your weevils and moss. So when you bring things home, like in Tupperware, we're really much into nude food. So it's not cooking in the nude, but it just means you tip all your products straight into your containers and throw all the wrapping away. And then you've got less chance of ever getting weevils or moss. And if you wanted to, with things like flour, I know a lot of people say that you can put them in the freezer overnight, and a lot of people do store their flours in the freezer just to prevent any of those things getting into their pantry. But when you go to cook with it, like, you get the condensation because it's been in the freezer. So you can just come home, you can pop them into your modulars. I recommend grabbing yourself a bay leaf and putting it into your flour or your rice or your pastas and things like that if you do have, you know, problems with weevils and moss where you live, because that'll stop them. They don't like the smell. It's not going to go into your food, but it'll just stop them ever coming into your containers. And if you're unlucky and you buy something from the shop and it's already got weevils or moss in it, you come home and put it into a modular, mate. It gets trapped in the container. And so you'll just have to tip the contents out, that one container and its contents, not get rid of your whole pantry. So there's some really great advantages to having modulars in your pantry. My pantry, has been done for 16 years. So all these containers that you're seeing right here are 16 years old. And guess what? Even the labels on them, I can see there we go. Even the labels on these are 16 years old. So the labels I think are like $24 for a sheet, and you get about 250 labels. And once you put them onto your container, you can actually take them off and move them and do stuff with them. Like, they are that good a label. So I highly recommend, if you don't have labels on your modulars, get some, and you can just put them down the side of your pantry, and then as you need them, you can just look through and see what products are on there and add them. It's good because it's got all the different types of sugars and flours, and they've had a bit of a revamp, so they have like lots of the more modern products and stuff in there as well, like from Mrs. Flannery's. So I don't think there's anything on the labels that isn't there. If there is, let me know, because we have tried to work it out and I don't think we've come up with anything yet. Okay guys, that's all the dry ingredients that we're popping into there. Now we're going to go across to our microwave jug, and we're actually just going to melt some butter and some syrup to tip into our dry ingredients. And guess what? That's it. That's the base of your Weet-Bix chocolate slice done. Now guys, if you don't have a microwave jug, I highly recommend getting one of these into your kitchen. I always say that every member of our family has a microwave jug because they actually get used so much. Perfect at breakfast time. You can do porridge, you can do scrambled eggs, all those things 2.5 minutes in your jug. It's great that it's got a cover, because it means whenever you put anything into the microwave, if you do happen to put it in just that little bit too long and it has that little bit of a splurt happen, you're not going to dirty your microwave, so you never have to clean your microwave again either. Even the little kids can use this. The handle doesn't get hot, so it's very safe to take in and out. And as I said before, when we talk about nude food, when we're talking about our modulars, when it comes to cooking in the microwave jug, we call this nudie cooking as well. So keep your clothes on, guys. But when you're actually cooking in the microwave, when you sit this in the microwave, this is actually invisible to the microwave. It's microtherm material. So when you sit this in the microwaves will actually go straight through this. They'll hit your food, vibrate your food, and your food will heat up nice and evenly. So you won't have like a cold spot in the middle and hot on the outside. If you've ever put a dinner plate or a cereal bowl or a cup into the microwave before, you know, sometimes you put it in there and then when you go to take it out, the bowl can be so hot, but the food inside hasn't even started to heat up. That's because when you do put things like dinner plates into the microwave actually heats the dinner plate up. And then it's the dinner plate that actually heats your food up. And that's why sometimes your food can still be cold in the middle, even though the bowl is too hot to actually even pick up. So if you get yourself a microwave jug, like I said, you'll love it. You'll want more than one in your kitchen. Anything you buy at the shop that needs heating up, pop it into the microwave jug, whether it's soups or pastas or anything. Even if you buy pre-packaged stuff, just pop it in here to heat it up, because you know you're doing the right thing for your family. You're not putting any BPA or any bad thing into the microwave. They do say that when you're using the microwave, the worst thing is the container that you actually have the food in. It's not actually the microwaves. I always say that if you've got Tupperware, you've got top quality product, BPA free, coloured naturally with fruit and vegetables. Things like our pressure cookers and our grills are such great designs. You don't need a fancy microwave. Get the cheapest microwave you possibly can. You just need it to heat up, and then once the product starts working, it's the product that's actually cooking your food and keeping the nutritional value and everything in it. And we know that microwave cooking actually saves electricity, particularly in summer. It doesn't make your house hot, so there is lots of advantages to actually having a microwave. Even convenience, I'm sure you would all agree, you'd be much better off doing a quick, easy microwave meal than going and getting McDonald's or Hungry Jack's or something like that. So guys, if you don't have a jug, make sure you get one. And if you've already got one and it's not enough, then make sure you get another one. Okay, so we're just going to pop into here 5 ounces of butter. Now, I'm actually using my scales. Now guys, I actually think these are probably getting close to 10 years old. I've had them for a really long time. Absolutely love them. That is something else that will occasionally come out in Tupperware. So we're just going to turn them on, and luckily my batteries still work. I think I've changed them maybe once or twice in that 10 years. So that in itself is like a really full-on thing. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually sit my jug on the scales, and I'm actually going to just tear it off, and I'm going to put it back. If it'll work for me. I'm just going to put it back Sorry guys, doesn't want to actually work today. Okay. We're just going to get it back to 0, so we're not actually measuring my jug in the ingredients. I think I jinxed myself. I said that they were working, and now they don't appear to be. Okay, we're going to do 5 ounces of butter. Oh, they're working now. They're just come back on. Maybe it's just my eyes and I can't actually see properly. Okay. Let's turn them off and turn them back on, hey? Do you know what, guys? They don't want to work today. Maybe it's time that Tracy got herself some new scales. Okay, I think they're working again now. Now that I've got them working, I have to actually change it to ounces. Because this is an old recipe, it's actually in ounces and not grams. So I need 5 ounces of butter. So I think we've got 2 or 3 in there. Let's see how we go. 3. Maybe I'm going to use up all of the butter in the container, hey? Oh, we're nearly there. 4.5 ounces. There we go. So we've got 5 ounces of butter in there. Now I am going to use a little bit more of this butter after, just to actually grease the dish, so that's perfect, that works out. Try not to make a mess here. Now we're actually going to put 1 dessert spoon of syrup in here. Something that a lady once taught me at a party, I won't do it today only because the kettle's in a different spot, but you know when you're doing honey and syrup and things like that, and you put it into like your spoons, like your dessert spoon, measuring spoon, and then sometimes it can be actually really hard to actually get it out. She actually said if you boil a kettle and you run hot water through the spoon first, then when you go to tip it out of your spoon, it'll actually just run off. So if you are doing like a slice like this, I think we've nearly done it. Now you'll notice I've got a really cool squeezy bottle here, hey. This is also something that comes out in Tupperware every so often. And just a week ago, this is actually a special that's on for this month. But guess what? It's been so popular, instead of lasting the whole month, it actually sold out within 1 week. So guys, make sure that you do kept updated by your consultant or by myself, so that whenever it is released, get in quick, because these bottles are amazing for barbecue sauce, tomato sauce, dressings, maple syrup. Like on the door of my fridge, I have got so many of them. They're just so easy to use. Okay, so I'm just going to use my knife actually to help me get mine out nice and quick today. So in here, we've got 5 ounces of butter and just 1 dessert spoon of golden syrup. Now I'm just going to quickly duck to my microwave in the cupboard, and I'm actually going to put the cover on here because I don't want it to have like a spack attack in my microwave and make a big mess. And I'm just going to put it in the microwave. I'm going to say, because it's like a bit of a bigger quantity, I'm going to do 1 minute. Actually, perfect. I've got James just came past. James, can you just put that in the microwave for me for 1 minute?
1 minute.
Yep. Perfect. So we're going to just melt that for 1 minute, and then we're just going to add it into our dry ingredients. Now, while we wait for that to actually melt, I'm just going to quickly show you one of my favorite products, and it is Tupperware's spatula. We call this the double-sided heat-resistant, stain-resistant detachable spatula. Can you say that really quickly? You can actually take the top off it. So say you're using it in curry or making spaghetti bog, and it gets like a little bit of a tinge to it. Take this off, sit it in a cup of cold water, and it will come out white again. This spatula here is probably about 5 years old. And I don't know about you, but it looks brand new to me. Something I love about the spatula is the handle, because you can actually use this to cut in our Ultra Pros and on all our silicone forms. I just find this is nice and hard, and it's the top part that's actually got a little bit of flexibility to it. Now, this is heat resistant, so you can put this in, because we're going to quickly tip the butter and the syrup and everything into the dry ingredients, so that won't damage it in any way. The kids won't like it because it actually gets everything out of the bowl. It's easy for them to lick, covered by lifetime guarantee. It's a little bit like your microwave jug. This and the jug they're like a pigeon pair. They go really well together. And once you've got one of these, you're probably gonna want 2 or 3 or 4 of them. Thank you. Perfect timing, I didn't have to leave you. Okay, so how about we just mix now into our dry ingredients. We're going to mix the butter and the syrup. Now I'm just mixing all the dry ingredients together so we don't have a spot that's full of wheat bix and another spot that's just full of sugar. Okay, now I'll see if you can see this. Can you see that, guys? That was 1 minute, so that was for the 5 ounces of butter and the syrup. Now we're just gonna make a little tiny well in the middle, like a little hole, and we're just going to tip our wet ingredients straight in, and we're just gonna mix it all together. And guys, that is your base. How easy is that? And who wouldn't agree that you pretty much would have those ingredients in your house all the time? I know once I didn't have syrup, so I just used honey and it works just as well. It didn't actually make any difference. So if you don't have syrup in the house, just get the honey out. I'm sure most of you have got honey in the house. Now we're just going to give this a quick mix together, just so that we're putting all the wet ingredients with the dry ingredients, just so it's nice, not too moist, but just so that it is a really great consistency. And the spatula is perfect for when you actually put it into the dish and press it down, because it actually helps it compact even more. Now guys, I don't normally measure out ingredients when I'm cooking, but when I do something like this, I do always measure it out, because then you know you're always going to get the right like wet ratio, so that it's not too dry or it's not actually too wet. And looking at this, because I've made this a few times in my life, actually perfect. So see that? It's all just like combined together. Now we are going to cook it today in the base of one of our Ultra Pros. I'm lucky enough to have a fair few Ultra Pros in my kitchen, and this one here is kind of like my old baking dishes, so that's why I use this one. And I'm just going to grab just a little bit of paper towel, because I actually like to put just a little bit of butter onto this, only because this base actually cooks and it becomes quite hard, just so that it's going to come out a little bit easier at the end. Because it's an Ultra Pro, I can't actually use a knife in it. So guess what? I'm actually going to use the hand of my spatula to actually cook it. So I'm just going to lightly grease this. I think my grandma showed me how to do this as a kid. Just grab a piece of paper towel, put a little bit of butter on it, and away you go. And guess what? You don't end up with any of it on your fingers. And because you're using the paper towel, you don't end up with like spots that are just covered in butter, because you don't want that. That's when it gets like burnt and yucky on the interior. So guys, look at that. You can't even tell that I've just put butter on there. Now we're just going to put our slice straight into here. Hope you didn't see me just miss the edge and go a little bit over. Cooking inventions with Tracy. Now, all I'm going to do is use my spatula to actually push down just with my thumb on the handle, and it will just compact it really nicely, and it actually makes it nice and even as well. I'd have to say, I reckon, I know how much my family loves this slice, including James. He probably likes it more than anybody. It will probably be gone in a couple of days. I have to laugh. Last time I actually made this slice, I think poor Taji was away at a friend's house, and I think before he left, he actually saw me making it, and by the time he got home, it was all eaten. And yeah, Taj wasn't too impressed by that. So the next time I actually made it, Taj actually went to the cupboard, he got himself a little container, and he got his own little stash and he filled it up with the chocolate slice, and he came into me in the office and he said, "Oh Mum, can I just leave this in here And so he put it in there under my desk. And then every time Taj wanted chocolate slice, he'd just come in there and get it. So when the others had eaten all the rest of it, he didn't tell them that he still had his own little stash happening. Now guys, that pretty much, apart from the little bit that I dropped on the bench, that pretty much is ready to go. I don't know if you can see that. How cool is that? Super easy. This is non-stick, so it's going to be super easy to clean this. Now I'm just going to pop this into the oven. Now guys, I had the oven preheated on 160 degree fan force, and that will be in there for about 20 minutes. I'm not going to make you wait here while it's actually cooking, but I'm just going to quickly show you the icing. Now this is something that I am actually going to guess, because this is something that I'm just going to, I think on the recipe that Mum gave me, it has about a cup of icing sugar. So I'm just going to guess. Do you like my cute little bowl? This is a Tupperware bowl. It's just a bowl that I've had for many, many years. It was our old alfresco range. I've got this, like, various sizes of these bowls. They're still well loved and well used in my house. So now we have the Mahalo range. So check that out, because it's exactly the same. They just got some really bright new colors and some different sizes available. But they're perfect containers. Even if the kids are just having popcorn and chips and stuff like that, and then you're making something little, you can always just grab out the smaller one as well. Now, I'm also going to add some cocoa powder, because we're gonna have chocolate icing. Now, the secret when you do this slice is when you take the base out, let it cool down just a little bit, but you've got to put the icing on while it's still hot. And it kind of just melts the icing all over it. Put some coconut in there. And then when it sets, it tastes amazing. The icing is the best bit. So you've got to make sure that you do a nice quantity of icing. Now I'm going to put just a dab of butter into here. I'm sure you've all got your own methods of making icing. This is what my mum taught me, and I'm sure her mum taught her that. I heard something really funny the other day. I watch a lot of Kerwin Rae, and he was actually saying, it's funny if you think about some of the recipes and stuff that we make. So this lady once was doing a roast, and whenever she does her roast, she always cuts the end off. And so somebody said to her, oh, how come you cut the end off your roast? Like, does it make it turn out better? And she goes, oh, I don't know. That's what my mum taught me to do. So she asked Mum, she said, Mum, how come you cut the end of your roast off? Like, does that make a difference? And she goes, oh, I don't know. That's what your grandma used to do. And so then she asked the grandma and said, oh, how come you cut the end off your roast? Does it make it taste better? She goes, no, my oven was really small, so I always had to cut the end off so it would fit. And it just goes to show how things are actually handed down, because all those other people probably didn't need to cut the end off their roast. So that's kind of like, it just becomes your blueprint. Whatever you get taught from your mum and your grandmother usually gets taught back to you. Now guys, I'm just going to quickly grab some milk. You can actually put water in here if you want. Actually, just let me grab the kettle over in the corner. You can boil it and you can make it hot as well. Just so that it melts the butter. Our butter's actually pretty much already soft, so it won't make any difference. Now, I don't know about you, but sometimes when I make icing, I might grab my simple spoon. I always have that thing where I put all the icing sugar in and everything, and then water, and then I'll end up putting too much water in, so then I could put more icing sugar in just to get it to the right consistency. So because I'm on camera today, let's hope that I did a little bit better job in my guesstimating. If not, I'll be putting a little bit more icing sugar in here. So you just give it a good mix. Now, I'm using Tupperware's Simple Spoon. Now, I don't know if you guys have actually got one of these in your kitchen, but I call this Tupperware's version of the wooden spoon. Now, if you've got a wooden spoon at home, no chance. You've probably had it in your kitchen for a really long time. And if you have a look, I'm gonna have to put some more icing sugar. If you have a look at your wooden spoon, I'm sure if you have a close look at it, it's probably got, make sure that doesn't pop up, I'll have chocolate sauce everywhere, won't I? if you have a look at it, I reckon you'll probably see that it's got lots of splits and everything in it. And usually they're full of bacteria. We all love our wooden spoons. We keep them for years and years and years, and God knows what's actually in that wooden spoon, because you can't actually clean it out, opposed to taking it outside and putting it in the hot sun for a day. I don't know about you, I've never done that with a wooden spoon to get the bacteria out of it. When you actually use this simple spoon, I think I've got this to the right consistency. When you actually use the simple spoon, there's no crazy cracks or anything in it. You're never going to get bacteria or anything bad actually forming in there. You can give it a good clean. The kids can lick it when you're actually cooking. It'll just be something also like your jug and also like your spatula. You're going to need more than one of them. You're going to have to pour the rest of the icing sugar in here, and that should pretty much make it perfect consistency, so that when our slice is done, I'll let it cool for only about 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most while it's still hot. And then I'm going to put this icing straight on the top. I find that sometimes you need a knife just to spread it out. Put the coconut on while it's hot. Put lots of coconut, it tastes so good. And then let it set, and once it's set, get your handle of your spatula out, chop it up, pop it into one of your Tupperware storage containers like your Sweet Keeper or your Slice and Store, and then see how long it actually lasts within your family. So guys, I don't know if you can see that. That's my chocolate icing ready to go. Now I reckon I'll be able to put everything away, wash up. My slice will then be ready to ice. And then I will probably have kids that will come to the kitchen and start to eat it. So thanks for joining me, guys. Hopefully that's a really cool recipe that you'll be able to try, and hope your family loves it. See you later, guys.